What is up, DMV basketball fans? Welcome into another Bleav in DMV Hoops. I've got Coach Mark Byington of the James Madison University Dukes with me here today. Coach, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's October's almost over now, so we're full speed ahead to basketball season.
I love that. Yeah, I think everyone listening to this pod right now is ready for it to be full basketball season. So you're amongst friends here. Before we get going, just want to get our ad reads out of the way. We're brought to you by Stateside Vodka and their Surfside hard iced teas, hard lemonades, hard every flavor you can think of, peach tea, half and half. They're all delicious. And BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, UFC, boxing, golf, football, obviously, everything you can think of. And BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games. Head to the website or use a mobile device today and get in on the action. Use our promo code Bleav, BLEAV, for 50% off your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Coach. I saw before we started recording here, you got your jersey on the wall back there from UNC Wilmington. You were a real hooper yourself. Do your players know that? Do they know that this is a guy that was a first team all defense, second team all conference? Like, have you ever shown them any tape or anything?
Well, thanks for reminding me. When you're a coach, you almost forget about your playing days, and it was a great 4 years for me. I tell my guys all the time, it's like one of the best times of your life is playing college basketball, and the bonds you make with your teammates, the experiences, the places you go, the challenges. And, that's the experience I take from being a player with my guys. It's kind of just appreciate the moment, appreciate this journey that you're on, because you're going to look back and you don't want to have any regrets and hopefully get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I think you've played in conferences that these guys are playing in now. So I think you can speak to them from a place of experience. Played in the CAA, coached in the CAA for a while, and you guys are in the Sun Belt now, probably similar-ish level of competition. So I think that's got to be important for your players to know, like, hey, coach knows what he's talking about here and can really come from a place of experience.
Yeah, I used to be able to go out and get on the scout team sometimes and, try to make that point. But
Yep.
now it's too dangerous. I got to protect some for some injuries on my legs and things like that. So now I just voice it. I don't actually demonstrate it.
I gotcha. That's probably the smart move. And you hit a couple shots every once in a while just to show them you got something left in the tank, but not running with them. Probably a good choice, especially the tempo you guys play at and everything. And the athletes you got on that team there, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the modern day athlete, it's different than even when I played. It's
Sure.
it's impressive what these guys can do and how they move. And then one thing that we do a great job of here at JMU is also with the strength coach, nutrition, and things like that. Where, I mean, we were eating pizzas, right after the game, right before the game sometimes. So it's a whole different mindset, and the athletes these days are incredible.
No more hitting McDonald's after the game on the way back to the dorm or something like that for these guys. At least not too often, hopefully.
Yeah, we were on a budget whenever it was convenient.
Yep, I feel you. So from there, after playing, you went on to be an assistant coach a couple different places, but longest stop at College of Charleston. Worked under Bobby Cremins, obviously a legend. What's that like to learn under somebody that that kind of resume? And are you guys still in contact? And does he check in from time to time still?
Yeah, we're definitely still in contact. As far as my coaching career, he had the biggest impact. And, just watching him and kind of when you're behind the scenes with somebody, you see why they were successful.
Mm-hmm.
And, Georgia Tech, has a court named after him, and he's, made his runs there. We had great teams at College of Charleston, but when you watch him day to day, it's certain things that really stick out. I mean, he was tremendous with the players. How he treated them, how he cared about them. He treated them like men. I mean, he was never disrespectful, and they wanted to play hard for him because, they could see how much, that he cared about them, invested in them. And then the best thing I think he gave me too was also he gave me a lot of responsibility when I was assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
It let me make mistakes. I was doing a lot when I was assistant coach at College of Charleston, and I would screw things up, and he'd come over and be like, Mark, no, don't do it that way. Or
Right.
He'd see me getting out of line and kind of straighten me back up. But he groomed me to be a head coach, and I'm very appreciative of that. And, in my career, he's been hugely impactful.
Do you ever get the text that says like, "Hey, why did you guys run that play at the end of a game or something like that?"
Yeah, we lost our tournament game last year to South Alabama, and and he should know there's a cooling off period, but I got to like an hour. He goes, "Yeah, Mark, great season. Maybe try this next time." And I'm like, it's like too soon.
Yep.
Soon.
Right.
I'm still really dejected right now. But he's like an encyclopedia. He's seen it all, knows it all, and he's still very involved in the game and helps us out. And his nephew's on my staff.
Cool.
Jonathan Cremins, and was also with me when I was at College of Charleston and Georgia Southern. We've been together for a while, so the Cremins are around the whole family.
I love that. That's great. And you mentioned Georgia Southern there for 7 years. You guys really had that thing rolling the last 3, especially. That was kind of honestly a rebuild job when you took that over, and took it to the point where you guys were a power in a conference it's a lot better than I think people realize, and now you're in that conference again. I guess when you have a job that's cooking like that, what is it hard to leave? Like why then? Why this job? I guess walk me through kind of the decision making there.
Yeah, I mean, my experiences at Georgia Southern were great. It was a very difficult situation we took over, and losing season, people said we couldn't win, and I remember getting there, we were having trouble sometimes beating out a Division II school for a player, or a low Division I for a player. And, I had to have great coaches around me and that believed in what I want to do and build it up. And we had to try to outwork people. I mean, that was kind of the thing we're going to have to do, is get good players, outwork people, and try to build it up. And we did. I mean, I took over a program, I think lost 7 straight seasons in a row. And by the second year, we had a 3-pointer two 3-pointers that would have sent us to the NCAA tournament. And missed both those threes that would have put us in a tournament. Ron Hunter tears his Achilles on the sideline, celebrating, and maybe I would have saved his Achilles. I wish I'd given his Achilles back and got to the NCAA tournament.
Seems like a fair trade. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take that. But then it wasn't something I was looking to leave. I was happy at Georgia Southern, and then the process came. JMU came open. I'm from Virginia. My parents still live in Salem, Virginia. I came up and I interviewed for the job, not really thinking anything else, but I was like, let me just go see what they're talking about. Sure. And, I was here for only, minutes. But when you meet the athletic director, Jeff Bourne, who's retiring, and the President Alger, and you see the facilities, you see the commitment, you kind of see things when you're there. And this is all during the COVID. There's nobody's around but us. It's easy to keep an interview secret when everybody's on lockdown and quarantine. But after I finished interviewing, I drove away, and there was no promises made. I didn't know how they felt about me, but I was driving down the interstate, and I was like, if I don't get this job, I'm going to be really hurt and dejected, because I believe I can win here, and I believe I can win here at a high level because they have everything. With the administration, like I said, everybody's connected, the facilities. And at the time I took the job, we were going into CAA. And the CAA, and I was very familiar with that, and 10 schools. And I knew it'd be a challenge, but it was something that a league I wanted to kind of take a run at. I've been in the Sun Belt. I was like, let me see what we can do in the CAA.
Now you're back in the Sun Belt. Was that a surprise to you? Did you know that might be on the table when you took over the JMU job? Sometimes these conference deals are talked about years in advance. So I'm just curious if that was on the table yet.
No, I did not know at all.
Okay.
Took the job, and I knew there was going to be conference realignment, and I knew we were going to be attractive. Mm-hmm. If you come to JMU, you're going to be like, all right, some different leagues are going to want us in. And JMU said no multiple times to, different leagues trying to pull them out. But when I got here and I started hearing, rumors, I think probably what set it off for most people and is when Oklahoma and Texas. Yeah. When that happened, it was just everybody's going everywhere. And
it's all fair game at that point.
It was. And my athletic director was talking to me like, hey, how will this affect you? What do you think about this? And they don't ask the coach. Sure. But it's a good fit, and it's even a better fit than it was before. The Sun Belt, when I was in it previously, was 12 teams. There was a couple non-football playing teams in the league. And then with the addition of us, Old Dominion, Southern Miss and Marshall, I mean, it's a heck of a league right now. I mean, we had 4 teams in the top 100 last year in the net ranking. Luckily, we're one of them. But there was probably 4 other teams that just had tough non-conference schedules that probably could have been in the top 100. So it's a challenging league, and good coaches, good players. I mean, we got to make sure that we're doing everything we can every year, from the players, the coaches, preparation, to have a chance.
You mentioned good coaches there. That's a perfect segue. You were named best X's and O's coach in the conference by your peers last season. What's that feel like to be recognized as an elite drawer up of things from everybody you're coaching against?
I love the compliment. The cynic in me is like, all right, you're setting me up. But I love basketball. I love watching it. I love preparing. If you look around my house or my office, I constantly got just diagrams laying all over, and sometimes they get jumbled everywhere. But it's I just love doing it. I love trying to take my players and trying to use them the best I can and make them look good. But if you gave me a vote, I would say there's 6, 8, 10 other guys that have been right there with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's probably fun to get out and coach against when you have to be on your A game every night in conference. I got to imagine that's one of those things where you look across the sideline, you're like, oh, this guy again, we've got to compete with whatever stuff he's going to throw at us.
Yeah, every now and then you wish you look down there. It's like, all right, he don't know what he's doing, and give me a break here. But in the Sun Belt, it doesn't happen. You look down there, and those guys got 2 new coaches in the league now, and everybody recruits well and works hard and has good players. So it's a challenge.
Despite that, you guys have been really successful so far in the league. I mean, I want to talk to you in a minute about how you guys measure success, but from the outside looking in, looks like things have been pretty good. You had 22 wins last season. It's the most since the 1981-82 team. You guys set records for single season for total points, rebounds, steals per game, a whole bunch of different categories. I guess, are you feeling good about where things are, and what are really your goals for this program? Like, where can it get to?
Yeah, I mean, when I took over a program at Georgia Southern and JMU, you say you don't want a good team, you want a good program.
Sure.
And now that's tough to say, that word good program. I think everything's on a 1-year deal. The roster turnovers are a lot. I brought in 8 new guys my first year, and I think 7, and then 8 and 6. So it's been huge turnovers in recruiting class. So it's hard to have consistency. I wish I had a couple of those guys back from last year that went off and are playing professional right now, and that would help some continuity. But you got to bring new guys on and fill big roles, and that's the challenge. Most programs are having that challenge. There's very few that, hey, we got 5 of our top 6 back or 6 of our top 8 back. Those are the old days. Now it's roster turnover and figure out how to do it. I like where we are. We're trying to get up to 1 more level or 2 more levels, and sometimes that's the hardest reach. It's you go from a team that's a little losing kind of historically, and then now you're winning, and now you're right there. It's kind of knocking the glass down and getting right through, and that's the challenge where we are right now. We're close. I think we had a good enough team to win it last year. We won the regular season CAA the first year, and just because I tough guys, tremendous player Matt Lewis, but it's every year is different. It really is, and you just don't know what to expect, and that's the fun part. I love this time of year when I'm looking at our team, and I was like, God, we got all these things to fix and what we got to do, and we got to figure it out. And you go along the way, and you're like everything's going smooth, and you kind of hit something in the season where you hit a lull, and you got to fight through it. I love the fact UConn last year, I think they lost 6 to 7 or they had a bad stretch, and they dominated the NCAA tournament. And so, seeing how teams pull out of things like that. And as a coach, you love trying to help a team get there.
I'm sure it's stressful in the moment, but also exciting challenge to get to problem solve and work through all those things. And it seems like that's what the most successful coaches are elite adapters and problem solvers. So You
It
guys have done
affects your
that pretty
sleep.
well.
I can tell you that. When you're sitting there, your mind's racing all night, and you're like, "How
Yep,
do I fix this?" And that helps with experience of coaches. Sometimes you realize some things are out of your control, but other times I think you kind of get the more experience you get, you're like, all right, let's keep it this way and not let it go sideways because it could go off the rails pretty quick.
for sure. In your second season, you guys beat UVA at home. As a Maryland alum, I still like to root against UVA, so I was rooting very hard for you in real time during that game. Does a signature win like that help you kind of jumpstart a rebuild somewhere? Like, does that carry over to other recruits in the area, see that game kind of more than others? And did that help you think?
Yeah, it definitely helped. I mean, at the time, I was almost just on to the next game, like
Mhm.
truthfully, and then you kind of reflect when it's over. And you start talking to fans, recruits, coaches, and they say, "Hey, watch the game." Or I've had so many JMU fans tell me that's the best sporting memory they've ever had, and that was cool. When I hear something like that, it would be different if it wasn't such a great team and great program and great coach. And so, we played well enough to win, and then the next year we went back to UVA and I was probably had a chance to win that one at UVA the following year. And going against Tony Bennett makes me better.
Sure.
Going against their team always makes your team better because you're going against a team where they got such a stability in their culture and they know what to do and it's almost a situation where none of them are rattled.
Mhm.
And you going against them, you always feel like you left that game and you're like, all right, I know what things to do with our team to make us better. And, it's the nightmare of them is you feel like you're going to be at halftime and the score is going to be 28-2
Right.
sometimes. So, it's hard, it's challenging, but, one of the best coaches in a tremendous program.
You guys are not shy about getting up and moving the ball around and putting some points on the board. So I can imagine that's probably an especially tough one to work through. Just talking a little bit about folks that you worked around. These were coaches that were there before you, but you had an all-time great in Lou Campanella, RIP, and Lefty Drizel. Were those guys available to you as resources at all? Have you been able to pick their brains along the way? And Lefty's obviously not doing super well health-wise, but is he still somebody you can reach out to if you need to?
Yeah, so I was in my office my second day at work, and Lou Campanelli called me,
Hmm.
and on my office phone, and no one had that number,
Yeah,
so everybody calls cell phones, and I answered the phone, and we talked for a while,
that's cool.
and it kind of got me started on the track after talking to him. And it was only my second day in the job. I didn't have a staff yet.
Hmm.
I had a director of operations, the only person I had on campus, and I said, let me take some time and reach out to all the coaches here before.
That's cool.
And Lefty was going through some health stuff, and I want to try to get him back to campus. But I talked to his son, who was an assistant here, and he's a very good coach up in the DMV now. You know him well,
Yep.
and talked to him, and talked to Lou Rowe, and Matt, and Sherman Dillard, and all these guys, and they loved their experience at JMU. And I was like, hey, give me some advice. Every one of them, but Lou gave me great advice, and Chuck Grizel did too, and just like all them others. And so it was something I heard that Buzz Williams did,
Mhm.
and he actually called me when he got the Virginia Tech job, and I was like, that's unique. And
Yeah.
calling somebody who's not there anymore, and he's like, hey, tell me the good, the bad,
Right.
advice, what you do different and everything else. And I was like, if I ever get another job, I was like, I want to do it that way too. I think it's smart and reaching out to people, and everybody's helpful. I mean, nobody had ill feelings, and then those
Mhm.
guys helped me out, get me started.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's a testament to the coaching, circle that to be able to do that and have those connections. And if they can save you a little bit on one particular lesson learned, I think that's
Mhm.
worthwhile. So last year we talked about the most successful year, honestly, probably in like 40 years at the school. Is that hard to move on from? Like, you have a decent amount of guys back. Is it hard to kind of reset that for everyone? Like, hey, last year was last year. This is this year, or do you want some of that to kind of carry over into this season? I guess, how do you play that with a new team?
I think we use some of those things that we were just short on, and
Okay.
that's what motivates us. We didn't cut down a net,
Mhm.
and we were into the last week of the season, had a chance for a regular season championship, and then lost a tough game to Marshall at home. One of the most incredible games I've been a part of. It was an absolute offensive juggernaut on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And, that kind of like burns us. It burns me. It burns returning guys that, hey, we were close. We could have had a chance to do something better, more. And that's what drives us. That's what we're reaching for. Look, it is hard when you're in a league like ours. There's 14 teams, and the new NIT changes and some different.
Which is terrible, by the way.
It's awful. But right now, I mean, more than likely, you get a 7% chance of going to a legitimate postseason, from our league. And I mean, you need to be lucky. You need to be good. You need to be opportunistic. You need to have good players. Like all these different things need to go in it. And that's what we're trying to do, is prepare ourselves for that moment to try to be that, that 7%, which is difficult. It's very difficult. So, but that's what, we're in, that we know we're in, and that's what we're trying to prepare for.
Not to quote you to you, but for the listener here, you said consistently staying at the top of the league is the next step. You're not just going to build a core group with the roster turnover. You have to constantly recruit and rebuild your team. Whether your team had a good year or a bad year, it all comes down to what you're trying to do, which for us is be a force at Pensacola at the Sun Belt tournament. I guess just giving yourself a shot at the NCAA tournament every year and being a contender for that. Is that like where you want to be the next couple of years with this program?
Yeah, that's all you can do. In a league like ours where it's so good and it could beat you up along the way, you got to get to Pensacola and play well in pressure situations, tough situations. And I like the fact that I have guys who, we got 2 games down there last year, made it to the semifinals and ran into South Alabama. They were a hot, good team. But that experience helps. And then I brought in some guys who got some really good experience. Mm-hmm. I brought in TJ Bickerstaff, who went to the NCAA tournament when he was at Drexel. I brought in Raekwon Horton, who went to the NCAA tournament at College of Charleston, was on a really good team there last year. So different guys in those situations where they understand that moment, I think helps, but it all does come down to that. It really does.
You mentioned some of the guys you brought in there. 7 players in the rotation are going to either be 4th year or 5th year players in college basketball. That's got to be on the older side for a lot of college basketball teams. You always hear get old, stay old. Was that a specific thing you guys wanted to go out and do and get those kind of seasoned, battle-tested guys?
Yeah, specifically right now when a lot of these players still have the extra COVID year.
Yep.
And so college basketball is not young. Mm-hmm. College football is not either. I hear some quarterbacks have been playing for 6-8 years or whatever. So it's experience, it matters. The maturity matters. And, a lot of times you look at college basketball, you got a 24-year-old going against an 18-year-old. That makes a difference. Tough. That's tough. And, so we want to be old. The Sun Belt's an old league. The league does really well taking transfers and JUCO players and things like that. So we want to be that way. But then at the same time, our recruiting is probably going to change after this COVID year is gone, and it won't be as transfer dominant, as graduate student dominant. It will be more freshmen coming to us.
That makes sense. You guys play pretty fast offensively, play really solid defensively. You guys can switch probably 1 through 5 at times here. I guess for someone who hasn't seen your JMU teams play, what's the calling card? Like, what do you guys want to be known for? What's the staple of how you're kind of setting your team up to play?
Yeah, we're an aggressive team on both ends of the court. And, we're going to try to really push the pace on offense, really kind of take the first good shot that we can get. But at the same time, having the IQ to know if that's not the good one. Mm-hmm. On defense, we're going to be very active. We'll scheme and change a little bit by our personnel from year to year, but our base is going to be the same. I mean, hopefully that we're disrupting the other team, enough to get our stops or get turnovers. Either way. But I think a lot of times you'll look at our teams and you'll see kind of like the true meaning of positionless basketball. Yep. I know a lot of people say it, but we actually did it, and you'll see my center bringing the ball down the court, 5-10 times in a game. And you'll look and you'll say, I don't know which is the point guard or different
I
things.
was going to ask that, by the way. Who was the point guard on this year's team?
Yeah, multiple ones. And that's how we play fast. But I try to find guys who can play fast and also have a great feel for the game, can make decisions and make read and react situations very well. So if you look at us, it is positionless, it is very aggressive, and there is a good pace to it.
There's being able to play fast and there's being able to play fast well. I guess, how do you, especially when you're bringing in new guys, whether that's high school players or transfers, that if they didn't play in a similar tempo in the past, how do you know that guy can do that and fit? I guess, is there certain traits that you can tell from someone of this guy fits into what we're going to do?
Yeah, we look for decision making, but a lot of it is, can they process information quickly? And can they read the defense? Can they read a ball screen? Can they read the help, the first line, the second line? Can they know they got to close out, and then once they get to the paint, make the right decision. So a lot of it comes down to that, and we'll watch a guy in recruiting, and sometimes we say the term, he has a feel for the game, and but it is a read and react and process information. If they can do those things. It's funny, when I was working with Coach Cremins, he said a line to me and stuck with me. He's like, look, if you got players who aren't very smart, you got to tell them where to go every single second. And he goes, that's difficult. He goes, you guys smart players, give them the space and let them make you look good. Let them read and react. And that was one of the things he did that stuck with me.
I love watching that. I think that makes for aesthetically pleasing basketball, and I'm sure that's helpful from a recruiting standpoint. I think that would be fun for guys to come in and know that they're not going to be, handcuffed to some extent. They can come and play loose. But also, as someone who still plays a lot of pickup and I can't guard anybody, it's fun to watch you guys play because you're always turning people over. You play with a lot of pressure. Is that sort of another core thing you believe in? Is kind of it's not just turning people over, but you also guys kind of control the pace by speeding people up and stuff like that too. Is that something you really look to do every year?
Yeah, I don't know if we've had some teams where we speed people up. I think what we are is we're aggressive on the ball and kind of aggressive in the gaps. Okay. And really, I'll find some guys that just have a natural tendency to go get the ball and to make plays and to be aggressive. What I don't try to inhibit a guy with our defensive scheme if they have a natural thing they do really well. I mean, we're a gap-oriented defensive team, but I've had some guys before that can kind of break out of our defensive scheme a little bit and make us look good.
I like that.
And I'll let them do that. And I don't want to make a guy who has a natural ability or do something well and tell him he can't do that well. If he's doing something well, it makes us all look good.
Yeah, they're probably not going to want to stick around too if you're holding them back from a thing they think is a strength of their game. And it's wild that you have to think about that constantly, I'm sure, as a coach of, hey, is this guy, maximizing his potential here enough to want to stay around? This year's team, I wouldn't say you're the biggest front court, but you're kind of big across the board. I think this is a long, athletic, rangy team, kind of 1 through 5, which is cool. Maybe not a lot of shot blocking if I was looking at the roster here, just overall. Does that matter to you guys? Is that a thing you care about, or can you make up for it with kind of this switchable perimeter defense too?
Yeah, I mean, we'll play multiple defenses with guys, and we do have size, and some of it's not guys over 6'10", but if you see the strength of our guys and the physicality that we can play with. I mean, we got a shooting guard that's 215 pounds that's really strong. And, our 4s and 5s. So that helps us, the physicality of the game. We have a couple of guys that might challenge some things around the rim. We won't be top 5 in the league in shot blocks. But at the same time, positional, making guys scoring over you, and physicality should be a strength of ours.
One of the freshmen I just want to touch on, I don't know who's standing out in practice so far, but just a name college basketball fans will know overall. You've got Jaylen Carey, Vernon Carey's little brother that played at Duke, playing for different Dukes this year. What's Jaylen look like so far in practice, and what can we expect from him this season?
Yeah, I was laughing because you said little, and he is little compared to his brother. But if you see him in person,
he's a big boy, right?
Yeah, he's a big guy. Very impressive. Has IQ. We talked about feel for the game, and we'll play him at the 5'4", but I mean, he can really pass the ball and shoot threes, and his versatility on offense. And he's just catching up to the speed for the game. And one thing I like about him, we did a foreign trip this summer, but you watch him day to day, and he's better every time, every day he keeps going forward. And so I'm excited to kind of see where it goes. He's in a rotation now. He's going to play, kind of figuring out how to use him. But he's got an offensive skill set that's really impressive.
It must be in the water wherever they're from, or in the blood or something too. Those guys can score it a little bit.
They have good bloodlines. You meet mom and dad, you're gonna realize where they get it from.
That's awesome. Bearing the lead here a little bit, just in terms of names to talk about. Terence Edwards, probably the most marquee name on your team. This is a guy that I got to see a little bit last year and thought like, oh, okay, this is an impressive guy. Is he somebody that can compete for like Sun Belt Player of the Year here this year? Like, are we expecting that kind of jump from him potentially?
I mean, he's one of the best players in the league. And, I think a lot of times that the Player of the Year goes to the best player sometimes on the best team. And so he realized that part, that he's got to make his team better. And he led us in assists. We did that foreign trip to Italy, he led us in assists. And he's a playmaker. He's experienced. He's played a lot. His leadership, his maturity, everything's just growing every single year. So his games can't be measured in points, and that's kind of like what he does best. I think there's going to have to be games measured in wins, where sometimes it's points, sometimes assists, sometimes it's leadership. And I think he's got to figure out the pulse of the team that day and fill in whatever's needed.
That makes sense. You mentioned not a traditional point guard potentially on this roster, and that everybody can do that, and he can lead you in assists some night. I guess, who do we project to start at the air quotes one, if you're willing to kind of help me out there a little bit of like who's going to be maybe the kind of lead offense initiator, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys I've been playing them together.
Okay.
So we could put 2 points out there. Xavier Brown's returning, really improved. Actually was ready to play last year as a freshman. He was kind of stuck behind 2 older guys, but when he got his opportunity, he could play. And brought in Mike Green from Robert Morris. Started at Bryant, was an all-conference player and highest IQ on our team, great leader. Just things are better when he's on the court. It really is, just because of his way. And we brought in Brian Randleman's kind of a combo guard. He's a big point guard from High Point. And, kind of in our early scrimmages, a lot of times 2 of them are on the court together. I like multiple ball handlers. And I would say, I don't know yet, but any one of them can start. But I can see all 3 of them playing really a good amount of minutes.
I think that fits in with what you're saying with decision making and things like that. You guys were a little high on the turnover side of things last year. Is that just a product of, hey, if we're going to play fast like this, sometimes, we're going to lose a couple? Does that bother you? I think sometimes turnovers are a sign of trying things and trying to create a little bit. So it's not always the worst. I guess, how do you juggle that?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some with our aggressiveness. And we were a little high last year. There's been some years where we kind of keep the same pace and take care of the ball better. But I tried to bring in guys this year in the transfer and everything else. I wanted to be a better passing team. And so the guys I brought in, not just the guards, but even the big guys and the big wings are better passers. And I'm hoping that translates, and it seems like it is right now, of us being more ball conscious. We want a shot every possession. But at the same time, there is going to be some aggressive turnovers, and it's never going to be a completely clean game. Look, if there's 9 good plays and 1 turnover, I'll take the turnover.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you got to let them do their thing a little bit and live through some of the growing pains along the way here. Coach, for anyone who hasn't been to a JMU basketball game before, why should they change that this season?
One of the best facilities in the country, and a passionate fan base. It's a great place to watch a game. Guys are fun to watch, exciting. They play hard, and they know they're playing for a great university, play for each other, they're playing for their families. But the environment there is fun. The student section packs it out. The band's one of the best bands, cheerleaders. So I mean, you come to watch the basketball team, but the whole ambiance of the arena, the fan base, the energy in the place. Get to Atlantic Union Bank Center. It is a lot of fun. It's a great place to coach, I can tell you that.
I have a lot of friends being from this area that went there and all loved their experience, and they point to that atmosphere being a part of it. And some of them, as older alums, are still going back to do that pretty regularly. So I think that's a good indicator that it's worth the trip for folks. Can you give us one fun fact about you that maybe people don't know? A guilty pleasure TV show or music or something like that?
Yeah, my music genre, I'm a 90s rap fan.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Any
Yeah, so
favorites?
I haven't evolved. Um, Biggie, DMX, Tupac,
There you go.
like those get me going. Um, but now, like I kind of like shut my television down. I'm a little upset. I'm in like season 6 of Suits,
Oh, okay.
and I got like one or two more seasons to go, but I'll probably won't watch them until April.
May or something, right?
Yeah, so um, and I have a 16-year-old son, and being a father to him, a basketball father, sometimes is one of my really, really great fun joys.
All that. I think that's all I got for you here, Coach. Anything you want to leave fans or listeners with, or anybody you want to shout out on the way out of here?
No, man, this has been great. It's fun talking basketball, and you got me excited. Just it's kind of like talking about me as a player. I got to go back and see if there's VHS tapes of me back in the day. But great spending time with you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking forward to making it out to a game this year. So good luck this season. Good luck the whole way. Hope for that health and all those things we talked about, and look forward to following the progress throughout the season.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. It's been great.
All right, everybody, you know the drill. Rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're presented by betonline.ag, and we will catch y'all next time.